This is Gemara in Succah Daf Lamed Bey. The shir has been sponsored by a close friend of the Daf, the Succah Refuah Shlema of Shmuel Yitzchak ben Malka. The learning of the Torah Chabura Mir Tashem should be a tremendous chos that Shmuel Yitzchak should have a tremendous Refuah Shlema Bekari. So the learning as we conclude the month of Av, we thank our generous sponsor Eastern Union as a Zecher Nishma Chesed Shagim and Avram Yehuda as well as Rechel Ba Sham Shadar and Tzvi. The learning of the Torah Chabura should be a tremendous chos Yil Nishmasa. Of course, we cannot forget our Chaylim Man of Avega Chaim and Sarsham Simon Reizos Arbas Kanadi the Basim with Chaysay Yisrael Memindel is Bezra Leisham as Amiv Shavi Shirkhana Shmuel and Tila Tanim Khanrizim Chaim Tila Brachos of Musa Adina Veda Bashin Minasim Vegor Mechlasim Lehuva Rivka Bas Bashem Talzim Mechlaster Besoy Shar Chayli Yisrael as well as one special schos for Shlema has been sponsored for Shlema Ben Rezel. You should have a tremendous Refuah Shalema. We're picking it up on the top of Lamed Beis and Aleph, and yesterday we ended off with a discussion: is a split lulav kosher or pasul? We had a stira, contradiction in two brises, and the Gemara answered over here on the top of Amud Aleph, Davik Himnik, that the difference is going to be if it's like a himnik, if it's like a Y split on top. A regular case of split on top is not pasul, is kosher. But if it's this unique case of gehimnik, then it's going to be pasul. Perhaps there's so many pictures over here. Kolosh did such a beautiful job. All the different opinions. Maybe we'll show a few pictures soon. Says the Gemara, 3 lines to the top. If the lula is curved like a sickle, the Mishnah said it is pasul. Amar Rava says Rava lo Yamar, 4 lines down. Elul lefanav, it's curved forwards. Avla acharav, it's curved backwards. Briyasahu. That is the way that it is created, that is the natural form to curve backwards, and therefore it will be kosher. Amar Rav Nachman, but let's tell them if it's curved to the sides. Kilafan of dami, it's as if it's curved to the front and it's pasul. V'amri lo kilach of dami, some say no. The side is like back and it's kosher. V'amar Rava, and says Rava, hay lulav the salik b'chad hutza. Says Rava, if we have a lulav that has a single row of leaves only on one side, it's a balmum and it's going to be pasul. Let's just show a few beautiful pictures. First of all, it's from yesterday. The esrog needs to be hadar, and we continue over here that if it's kapos tamarim, that we said ein ogdin it's a lulav b'minai. You have to bind it with its own type, which of course everyone knows what that is. Use the piece of lulav for the binding. We learned the Rava said the type that you were able to bind it with yesterday was a tziv, or afilu be'ikra the dikla. And then we continued and we spoke about making your lulav, your esrog with a quince, a lemon. The issue is potentially with that. We said if it's kamushin, if it's withered, it's kosher, but the lulav would be different. We spoke about the hadasim, etc. Let's continue. We spoke about the different size of the esrog as you see in front of you, like a walnut, or like a beya, machlaikes. And then we saw how big the esrog is allowed to be, 2 in 1 hand, or 1 in 2 hands. And of course, the way that you hold it, right hand lulav, left hand esrog. And this is really our discussion for today. Nistak, what is cracked? It is kosher, it is pasul, it's split or not. We had a lulav, and lulav kafav, a bent over lulav, covered with thorns. And now finally, we have Davik Himnik, as you see in front of you. If it's made like a Y split in the middle, that is the case where it's going to be issues. This is a similar Davik Himnik, which of course is a common case of lulav. It's one of those things that people have to realize. An esrog is almost always kosher, even though people spend more time with their esrogim. A lulav is not so simple. You should always have a Talmid Chacham look at your lulav to make sure it is not problematic. As you see over here, Davik Himnik, the top leaf could be split one little dot, and the Chazon Ish says that's a problem. And here is the Kimnik, this is the way, this is kaf of different type of bent. And finally, a beautiful rendition of a lulav with leaves and only one side, like Rava just explained. Says the Gemara, Nifratzu Alav, continuing in the Mishnah that we said if the leaves are torn off, then it is pasul. But if they're just separated, then it is kosher. Amar Abba, Nifratzu Da'avik Kichufya. Then what does Nifratzu mean? What does torn mean? That it's made like a broom. Nifridu, what does separated mean? De'ifrid Afrude, which means the leaves are just a little bit separated. That's kosher, but like the broom is pasul. If the middle leaf is split, Ma'u, Tashma, Damarav, Yachanam, Shubin, Levi, Nitla, Tiyamis is pasul. If it's totally not there, my love, who I didn't actually, first the Gemara suggests maybe splitting of the tiyamis of the middle leaf is the same as if it's not there. Answers the Gemara as we could all anticipate. Loy, nitla shiny. If it's missing, it's different. Why? The chasar it's lacking, and that's the reason why it's going to be pasul. Igadi Amri Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi nechla tiyamis nasa kemisha nitla tiyamis pasul. 2 different lashanis whether split is like lacking or not. First lashon saying no. It's going to be better because it's not actually missing a piece of it. Second lashon saying it is the same thing. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, and we continue. That Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah taught us that if the leaves are separated, what do? Kapvois. you bind it together on the top. Says the Gemara, Tani learns at a Brayso of Yuda Omer, Mishum Rav Tarfin, Kabois Tamarim. Kafos, what is Kabois Tamarim? Literally a branch of date palms. It has to be kafos, says Rabbi Yehuda, be bound together. Am I a part? If it's separated, you should bind it together. Amr Ravina Rav Ashi Mimai. How do I know this day? And Kabois Tamarim the lulav? Says the Gemara, beginning a lengthy discussion. How do you know that Kabois Tamarim is a lulav? Maybe, perhaps, Ema Charusa. Maybe it's a different min. Who Ema Charusa? Maybe it's referring to a hardened branch. That's Kabois Tamarim. Answers the Gemara, Bina Kafos Veleka. No, it has to be able to be bound together. And if it's a hard branch, it can't be bound. Says Gemara, okay, number 2. Vema Ofta. Maybe Kabois Tamarim is referring to the log of the trunk of the tree. Kabois Mechalti Gabarit. Says Gemara, similarly, Kabois bound, teaches us as it could be potentially separated. V'hai kavos v'ayim l'aylam, and the trunk of the tree is always together. Case question number 2, l'aylam. Number 3, asked the Gemara, ve'ima kafra. Maybe Kabois Tamarim is referring to kafra, a palm shoot. How do you know it's a date palm branch? That the palm shoots have thorns in them, and Hashem will not have you do a mitzvah with something that's going to hurt you. And all the paths of Hashem are peace. He'll never make you do a mitzvah that could potentially harm you. And finally, the 4th question, perhaps it's referring to Tarti Kapi the Tamri. Maybe the Torah is referring to 2 clusters of dates. Says the Gemara, Kapois, as you see, without a vav ksiv, and that's why it means 1. Ve'ima chada, maybe it means 1 date cluster. Lahu kav karile, that's called a kav and not kapois. And therefore, after 4 questions, having all different suggestions, what Kapois Tamara means, we conclude like we knew that Kapois Tamara is the lulav, is the date palm branch, and that is what you have to be yotzer your mitzvah with lulav on Yom Tif. Says the Gemara, continuing the Mishnah, what did the Mishnah say? Tzine har habarzel. If the lulav comes to the mountain of Barzel, it's going to be kosher. What's this referring to? 5 lines from Abaye. Abadam Amar Abaye explains Abaye Loishanu El Sharoisha Shalzeh Magil Tzadikari Shalzeh. Sini Har Barzel with short leaves, but says Abaye it's only kosher if the bottom of the leaf reaches if the top of the leaf reaches the bottom of the next leaf. It can't be very short leaves that they don't touch each other. If the top of this leaf does not reach the bottom of the next leaf, then, says Abaye, it is puzzle, and Tanam Yihach, we have a riot to this. Sitting Harabarzel from this mountain is Psula, Ivanatan Sheira. We have a stira, as a kosher, or mutter, or apostle, Elishmamina, Abaye, Shmamina. But that's the riot Abaye are referring to when the branches reach the next branch, it will be kosher. If it does not reach the next branch, it will be puzzle. Before we show pictures, let's turn over to Tamid Beis, and let's see the same exact Gemara in a bit of a different form. There are those that asked it as a contradiction. Tonight we said in the Mishnah, Tzini Har Barzel is kosher. Tanya, different Mishnah says Psula. One is where the leaves reach the next row of leaves. Again, just like we said, the Tzini Har Barzel short leaves will be kosher if it reaches the next row, but if it does not, then it will be possible. And Amar Marian will get to the 2 dots, and then we'll show pictures. Amar Rabbi Shua ben Levi, V'amri la Tani Rabbi Bar Mari, Mishom Rabbi Yocham and Zakai, Shtei Tamarois Yesh Begay. Shtei Tamarois, there are 2 palms, Yesh Begay in the valley of Ben Hinnom Va'oila Ashan Mivanim, and there's smoke that shoots up between these 2 palms. That's what it means. And that location is the opening of Gehenim. Says the pictures. Now let's see a few pictures from Amud Aleph. Nifratu Avid Kichofia. Over here we see Nifratu is that it's separated on the top, which is why our Yehuda said to bind them together. This is Nachlik Huatiyim, referring to the middle leaf, as you see over here. If that leaf is split, a bit of a machlekes Rishonim exactly what is the case, many different opinions. Now we see Nitzel Huatiyim, which everyone agrees if the middle leaf is snipped off, that's for sure possible. And the Gemara asks, maybe Charusa, maybe it's referring to the hardened branch in the middle. It says the Gemara being in Kafis, you have to be able to be bound it together. If it's a hardened branch, you can't bind it together. And Gemara asks, maybe Ema Ufta, maybe it's a cluster of dates. We say no, it refers to one singular one. And here you see a beautiful picture of Sini Har Barzel. You see the leaves do not touch the next branch. That's going to be when it is puzzle. Actually, in this case where they don't touch, this case is where they do touch. One's going to be kosher, one's going to be puzzle. And let's continue with the shiurim the size of what a lulav has to be, and other of the dalin minim. Says the Gemara Lamed Beis, about 10 lines from the top. Lulav sheish b'shleisha tefachim. The minimum size of a lulav is 3 tefachim, something about 15 inches, a foot and a half about. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, shir hadas ve'arava. What is the size of the hadasim and aravos? Shleisha, it is as well 3 tefachim. V'lulav, he says, is 4 tefachim. Very important. You sometimes see people mess this one up. The lulav has to be bigger than the hadas. Not just part of the lulav, but the sheder, the spine of the lulav has to come out. Tefach, a full tefach. Says the Gemara, great. So we have we have 2 different opinions. The first opinion says a lulav could be 4 tefachim, has to stick out a tefach. The second opinion says has to even stick out the spine, has to stick out a tefach. Asks the Gemara Tanan, what did our Mishnah say? Lulav shishma gimel tefachim by kosher. 3 tefachim is kosher. We just said it has to be 4 tefachim or even bigger. What's going on? Answers the Gemara, Ema ukidei l'nanei by kosher. Say it has to be this size and enough to shake it. And therefore, mark this way or mark this way, and that's going to be the opinion. What is the size to be able to shake it? Is it 3 tefachim or 4 tefachim? That's going to be the debate between our Mishnah and the Brisa that we just quoted. Says the Gemara, okay, what did Rav Yochanan say? Rav Yochanan said that the sheder, the spine of the lulav, has to come out 1 tefach. Asks the Gemara, Tashma, Shir Adas V'Arava Shleisha V'Lulav Harba. My love, what does that mean? B'Hadeolin. That includes the leaves. So what do we see? We see that how much has to stick out? The leaves, not the spine, like Rav Yochanan said. Says Marloi Levan Me'olim, aside from the leaves, and therefore it is not a question on Rav Yochanan. Fine, so we started off the size of the lulav is 3, we had a price that says it's 4, and we reconcile that it has to do with the amount of quantity to shake it, and now we just ask the question, and we answer no, it means except for the leaves. Kufa, let's go a bit deeper into this brisa. Shir Adaz Rava Shleishik Lulav Arba, Rav Tarfin Aimer, Ba'amas Bas Chamisha Tfachim. We always know there's 2 different ways of an amma. Says Rav Tarfin, what are we referring to? An amma of 5 Tfachim. Amar Rava, Shar Le'mari Rav Tarfin. Says Rav, Surely Mari, let the master, let God forgive Rav Tarfin for saying something so ridiculous. Says, and Rav now explains, now if we cannot even find 3 braided adasim, we cannot find it. You want it to be 5 tvachim? To have 3 tvachim was too difficult to have a kosher adas. How can it be 5 tvachim? Ki also Rav Dimi Amar Amma Bashisha tvachim. Rav Dimi said, no, the hadas is only 3 tvachim, but the tvachim are measured with an amma of 5 tvachim. What does that mean? Amma b'shisha tvachim. We're talking about an amma of 6 tvachim. Asiyah Isa. If it's of 6 amma tefach, then Asiyah Isa, then you should make it bas chamisha. Then you should make it divide the 6 tefach amma into 5 equal parts. Say me'em shleisha ladas, that's 3 tefachim for the hadas, v'shar lulav, and the rest can be for the lulav. And that is the difference between the lulav sticking out from the hadasim. Kama havelahu, how much you can have less? Talasa u'talasa. Says the Gemara, 3 talasa u'talasa chumsha. 3 and 3/5. Kasha Shmuel the Shmuel. Now we have contradiction in Shmuel. Why? Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel Shira Das Arav Shalisha is only 3 tvachim. V'also Amar Rav Shmuel Lochik Rav Tarfin, that he baskin like Rav Tarfin. So what's going on? How big is the lulav? Answers the Gemara. Loidak, he wasn't precise. Says the Gemara. Okay, so he provided a rounded off figure. Eimer Damrina Loidak asked the Gemara Lechamra. We ever give a smaller shear? That's impossible. And in our case, the way that Shmuel said it over, it's going to end up being that it's going to be smaller. Why? Because the Hadas and Aravos really have to be 3 3/5. And what did Shmuel say? 3 tvachim. So that's a chumrah. That's a kula, excuse me. Explains the Gemara. Loi dak. Again, one more time. Answers the Gemara, Kiasa Ravin Amar Amabas Chamisha Tvachim. Says Ravin, we're referring to an Amma of 5 Tvachim. Asay Isa Shisha making it to 6 equal parts. Say Mem Shalishaladas, Vashar Lahu, Kame Havlahu. So now when we do the math, how much do we have? Treyu Palga, 2.5. and that's where Shmuel rounded off to 3. Says the Gemara, Saif Kasha the Shmuel. It's still a contradiction. Now comes out a stringency there. Shmuel saying instead of requiring only 2.5, you need 3. That you need 3, even though you really only need 2.5. The chumrah is to require 3. And that is the shear, the size of the lulav madas ben ravais, the lulav being larger than the das ben ravais, and the math exactly how we got to the 3 tvachim. It's not that we're using really they need 3.5, but rather it's really only need 2.5. We're being machmer like Rav Tarfon says Shmuel to round it off to 3. Says the Mishnah, Hadas Hagazel. We spoke about a lulav Hagazel. We spoke about a Succah Hagazel. But now says the Mishnah, what about the Hadasim? The Hadas, which is stolen, a Yavish, which is dry, is possible, Shalashev, Shalir Nidachas, as well as going to be possible, Nikdam Rosh, if it's cut off, never to olive, the leaves are torn. Oy Sheyanovav Merubim Me'olav. There are more berries, Hadasim, there's little berries on the sides. There's more berries than leaves, possible, than Miatam, but if you take off the berries, kosher. However, ve'ein mematim yantif. You're not allowed to do that on yantif. Says the Gemara. Let's just begin the Gemara. Tan Rabbanan anaf eitz avos. Says the Brisa that what do you need to take for your dalin minim? Anaf eitz avos. An anaf, a branch of an eitz avos of a braided tree. Shanaf of chayvenes eitzai. This refers to something that the anafim, the leaves, cover the eitz, cover the branch. Veizehu, what is such a plant that the leaves cover the whole branch? Haviyomer is a hadas. That's what we know. It has to be a hadas. Ask the Gemara 1 second. Maybe it's an olive branch, which we know that the leaves also cover over the branch. Answers the Gemara, being an avos has to be braided. Veleka, an olive branch is not braided. Veva dova, says the Gemara, okay, but maybe it's referring to a chestnut branch. Being on enough of chayvenes eitzai, you need to cover the branch. Veleka, and by the walnut, it does not cover the branch. Vema hirdoif, maybe it's referring to a hirdoif branch. Amar Abaye in the second white line, veleka, and it's not appropriate for what reason? Because the hirdoif is also, like we said before, something which is not pleasant to hold because it has these sharp, prickly leaves. Rav Amar Mihalcha, another reason you can use the hair knife is how emes v'ashalom ha'ava, the emes and shalom, love and truth is peace, and Hashem will not give you something which is not like that. Why? Because says Rashi, because this is a plant, the hair knife, which is poisonous for animals. Therefore, it doesn't confirm, I should say, with emes and shalom, something that is poison inherently. Says the Gemara a bit more about the hadas of Tanur Rabbanan. Kalua kamin kalia. If it's braided like a braid, and it's similar to a chain, so hadas. Lazar ben Yaakov Aimer, anaf eitz avos. What does it mean, anaf eitz avos? It's a unique tree that the branch has the same taste as the fruit. And what is that? That is the hadas. We learned in our Mishnah, eitz avos is kosher. If it's plated, if it's braided, it's kosher. If not, it's going to be possible. What does that mean? What this refers to is 3 clusters on each base. Rav Kana says Rav Kana, no, even if it's 2 with 1 a little bit more than it, that's also kosher. Once Rav Kana said that's kosher, he specifically went to find one that is 2 and 1. Abba said to him, that of Adas 2 and 1 is a shaita called. We'll stop over here tomorrow. Mr. Hashem, when we begin, we're going to show a bit of the pictures of all these different types of Adasim as well.